My beloved child, if you have just come across a message that says something like, "Only 45 minutes left," or claims that someone dangerous is outside your home, understand this very clearly. This kind of message is designed to create fear and urgency, not to provide real or reliable information. Messages that use the name of Archangel Michael in this way are not genuine warnings. They are symbolic at best, and often just attention-grabbing content meant to make you react quickly without thinking. Right now, the most important thing you can do is stay calm. Fear works by rushing your thoughts. It pushes you into a state where you stop thinking logically and start reacting emotionally. That is exactly what messages like this try to do. They use strong words, countdowns, and dramatic situations to make you feel like something terrible is about to happen immediately. But real safety does not come from reacting to fear. It comes from awareness, calm thinking, and practical action. Let's break this down clearly and logically. If there were actually a real threat outside your home, it would not come to you through a random message like this. Real warnings come from real sources, local authorities, trusted people, or something you can directly observe yourself. A vague message telling you to open immediately, or claiming a stranger is planning harm without any evidence is not how real danger is communicated. The symbolism connected with Archangel Michael is often about protection and strength, but that protection is not about fear or panic. It is about staying aware, thinking clearly, and making wise decisions. In this context, the wisest thing you can do is not let your mind be controlled by a message that is designed to scare you. Now, instead of reacting emotionally, let's focus on real, practical safety. Look around your environment calmly. Are your doors locked? Are your windows secure? Is everything normal in your surroundings? If the answer is yes, stop right there and take a slow, deep breath before you continue reading, because if you have just seen a message like this claiming that there are only 45 minutes left and that someone dangerous is outside your home, then it is extremely important to understand that such messages are designed to create fear and urgency, not to provide real or reliable information. And the use of names like Archangel Michael in these kinds of statements is usually symbolic or simply used to grab attention, not to warn you of an actual threat. So instead of reacting with panic, you need to pause and bring your focus back to reality, because fear works by making your mind rush into worst-case scenarios without evidence. And that is exactly what this type of message is trying to trigger. But real safety does not come from reacting to fear, it comes from calm awareness and logical thinking. So look around your environment carefully and honestly ask yourself if there is any real sign of danger. Check if your doors and windows are secure, notice if everything around you is normal. And if there is nothing unusual happening, then this message has no connection to your real situation and is simply an example of fear-based content meant to control your reaction. But if you do feel uneasy for any genuine reason based on something you can actually observe, then take practical steps like staying inside, ensuring your home is secure, and contacting someone you trust or local authorities, because real threats are handled with real actions, not with panic, and the symbolism connected with Archangel Michael is often about protection through strength and clarity, not fear and confusion. So strength in this moment means staying grounded, not letting your thoughts spiral out of control, and trusting your ability to think clearly, because many such messages follow the same pattern of creating urgency, introducing fear, and forcing you to act quickly, but you are not required to react to anything. Witho. Proof, and your mind may try to imagine possibilities after reading something alarming, but imagination is not reality, and it is important to separate what you feel from what is actually happening. So instead of letting the message control your thoughts, you take control by focusing on facts, staying aware of your surroundings, and making calm, sensible decisions, because your safety depends on real awareness, not on dramatic words. And if everything around you is safe, then this moment becomes a reminder of how important it is to not let fear-based messages influence you, and to protect your peace by thinking rationally, because in the end real danger comes with real evidence, real safety comes from real actions, and real strength comes from staying calm and in control even when something tries to make you panic. If you are still here reading, then take another calm breath and continue thinking clearly, because messages like the one you saw are built to keep your mind in a state of fear, and the longer you focus on them without questioning them, the more real they begin to feel. But the truth is that no random message can accurately tell you that a stranger is outside your home or that something dangerous is about to happen within a fixed time limit. And using names like Archangel Michael in such content is not a sign of real guidance but a way to make the message feel more powerful and urgent. So instead of letting your imagination create scenarios, bring your attention back to what you can actually verify, because your eyes, your ears, and your awareness are far more reliable than any dramatic statement on a screen. And if your surroundings are calm and normal, then that is the reality you should trust, not the fear created by words. And it is important to understand that your mind is naturally designed to protect you, which is why it reacts strongly to anything that sounds like a threat, but that reaction needs to be balanced with logic, otherwise it can lead to unnecessary stress and anxiety, and this is exactly why staying grounded is so important in moments like this, because grounding yourself means focusing on what is real, what is present, and what is actually happening around you, not what might happen based on an unverified claim, and the symbolism connected with Archangel Michael can be understood as a reminder of inner strength and awareness, not panic or fear. So strength here means trusting your judgment, checking your environment calmly, and refusing to let your thoughts be controlled by something that has no evidence behind it. And if there were ever a real situation involving danger, it would come with clear signs, real sounds, visible activity, or direct communication from trusted sources, not a vague and urgent message telling you to act immediately. So instead of reacting emotionally, respond intelligently by ensuring your space is secure, keeping your phone available if needed, and staying aware without becoming anxious, because awareness keeps you safe while panic makes you lose control. and mind is one of the most important things you have, so protect it by choosing calm thinking over fear, and remember that not everything urgent is real, not everything scary is true, and not everything you read deserves your belief, because in the end your safety depends on your awareness of reality, not on messages that try to replace it. Because now you are not just reacting, you are understanding, and that makes all the difference, since messages like the one you saw are designed to pull you deeper into fear the longer you think about them, but when you pause and analyze them logically, they begin to lose their power completely, and that is exactly what is happening right now, because you are choosing awareness over panic, and that is real strength. Not the kind of strength that comes from reacting quickly, but the kind that comes from staying calm when something tries to disturb your peace, and the use of names like Archangel Micheal in such messages should not be taken as a literal warning, but rather understood as a symbolic reference that has been misused to create urgency, because true guidance never forces you into fear or pressures you with time limits. It encourages clarity, patience, and wise action. And right now the wisest thing you can do is stay grounded in reality, because when you look around and everything is normal, that is the truth you should trust, not a dramatic message that has no proof behind it. And it is important to recognize how easily the human mind can create fear when given a suggestion, because once an idea is planted, your thoughts can start building scenarios that feel real even when they are not, and this is why controlling your focus is so important. Because what you focus on grows stronger in your mind, so if you focus on fear, it increases. But if you focus on reality, it stabilizes, and the symbolism connected with Archangel Micheal can be seen as a reminder to protect your mental space, not just your physical surroundings, because protecting your mind from unnecessary fear is just as important as locking your doors or staying aware of your environment, and when you choose calm thinking, you are actively protecting yourself from being influenced by false urgency. And that allows you to make better decisions in any situation, and if there were ever a real concern, your calm awareness would help you respond correctly, while panic would only make things more confusing. So instead of letting this message control your emotions, let it become an example of how important it is to think clearly, stay present, and trust what you can actually verify, because in the end, real safety comes from awareness, real clarity comes from calm thinking, and real power comes from not letting fear decide how you react. Then this is the point where your understanding becomes complete, because now you can clearly see how these kinds of messages try to take control of your thoughts by creating urgency and fear, but you have not allowed that to happen, and that itself shows awareness, because the truth is that no real danger is ever communicated in such a vague and dramatic way, and when names like Archangel Micheal are used in these messages, they are often used only to make the situation feel more serious and believable, not because there is any real connection to what is being said, and once you understand this pattern, you begin to recognize it everywhere, because the structure is always the same: first fear, then urgency, then pressure to act immediately without thinking. And this is exactly what you have avoided by staying here and reading calmly instead of reacting instantly, and that is important. Because your ability to pause and think logically is what keeps you in control, not the message itself, and when you stay in control, your mind does not create unnecessary stress or panic, and instead it focuses on what is real and present, and if you look around right now and everything is normal, then that is the only reality that matters, not a hypothetical situation created by words. And it is also important to understand that repeated exposure to such fear-based content can slowly influence your thinking if you are not careful, which is why awareness is your strongest defense. Because once you recognize something as manipulation, it loses its effect on you, and the symbolism connected with Archangel Michael can be better understood as a reminder of inner strength and protection, not from imaginary threats, but from losing control of your own thoughts, because protecting your mind from fear is just as important as protecting your physical space, and when you remain calm, you are able to respond properly to real situations if they ever occur, instead of being overwhelmed by false alarms, and this is what separates reaction from control, because reaction is instant and emotional, while control is calm and logical, and right now you are choosing control, which means you are thinking clearly, staying grounded, and not allowing an unverified message to influence your reality. And that is exactly how you should respond to anything that tries to create panic without proof, because in the end, your safety depends on your awareness of what is real, your ability to stay calm, and your decision to trust logic over fear. If you are still reading this, then this is the stage where your mindset fully shifts from reacting to understanding, and that is very important because most people never reach this point. They react at the first sign of fear, but you stayed, you read, and now you are seeing clearly how these messages actually work, because they are designed in a very specific way to control attention, emotions, and behavior, and once you break that pattern, they lose all their power over you, and that is exactly what is happening right now, because you are no longer thinking, what if this is real? Instead you are thinking, what is actually real, and that single shift in thinking is what separates fear from clarity, because fear is built on imagination while clarity is built on observation, and when you observe your real environment, you realize that nothing has changed around you, nothing unusual is happening, and everything is exactly as it was before you read that message, which proves that the message itself did not bring any real danger into your life. It only tried to create a sense of danger in your mind, and that is a very important difference to understand, because once you see that clearly, you stop giving importance to such content automatically, and the use of names like Archangel Michael in these situations becomes easier to understand as well, because instead of representing real guidance, it is often used to add emotional weight and urgency, making the message feel more serious than it actually is. But true guidance never creates panic, it creates calm awareness, it encourages you to think, not to react blindly, and it never forces you with time limits or threats. So the moment you see pressure like, only 45 minutes left, or, open immediately, you should recognize it as a psychological trigger, not a real warning, because real-life situations do not work like that. They come with clear, direct, and verifiable signs, not vague instructions from. Understanding this protects you not just in this moment but in many future situations as well, because once your mind learns to question and analyze instead of react, you become much harder to influence or manipulate, and this is where real control begins, because control is not about controlling everything around you. It is about controlling how you respond to what you see, hear, and read. And right now you are practicing that control by staying calm, by thinking logically, and by not allowing fear to take over your thoughts, and that is exactly how you should approach anything that feels urgent without proof, because urgency without evidence is almost always a sign of manipulation, and when you understand that, you automatically slow down instead of speeding up, you think instead of reacting, and you observe instead of assuming, and this creates a completely different mindset, one that is stable, aware, and grounded in reality, and that mindset is what truly keeps you safe, not panic, not fear, not blind reaction, but calm awareness and logical thinking. And the symbolism connected with Archangel Micheal can be understood here as a reminder to protect your inner state, to not let your mind be disturbed by things that have no real foundation, because your peace of mind is just as important as your physical safety, and when you protect that peace, you are able to handle real situations much better if they ever arise. Because you are not overwhelmed, you are focused, you are not confused, you are clear, and clarity is what allows you to take the right actions at the right time, and that is the final understanding this message leads to, that not everything urgent is real, not everything frightening is true, and not everything you read deserves your belief. And once you fully accept that, you stop being controlled by fear-based content. If you are still here, then this is the final level of understanding, where everything becomes completely clear and nothing in that original message has any power left over your thoughts, because now you can see it for what it really was, not a warning, not a prediction, but a carefully structured piece of fear designed to capture your attention and control your reaction. And the fact that you continued reading until this point means you did not let that fear take over, which already puts you in a position of awareness that most people never reach, because they react instantly, but you chose to think, and thinking is what breaks the entire illusion. Because once you analyze the message calmly, you realize that there was never any real evidence, never any direct confirmation, and nothing in your actual surroundings that matched what was being claimed, which proves that the only place that danger existed was inside the idea itself, not in reality, and that is the most important realization you can have, because it teaches you that your mind can be influenced by suggestion, but it does not have to be controlled by it, and this is where the symbolism connected with Archangel Micheal can be understood in a much deeper way, not as something external giving you commands, but as a representation of inner strength, awareness, and protection of your thoughts. Because true protection begins with clarity. And clarity comes when you stop reacting automatically and start questioning what you see, and now you have reached that point where you naturally question instead of blindly believing, and that changes everything, because from this point forward, any similar message you encounter will immediately feel different to you. You will recognize the urgency as artificial, the fear as exaggerated, and the instruction to act quickly as a manipulation tactic, and instead of getting pulled into it, you will pause, observe your surroundings, and rely on what is actually real, and that habit alone can protect you from unnecessary stress, anxiety, and confusion, because you are no longer giving power to things that do not deserve it. And this is what real control looks like, not controlling the outside world, but controlling your response to it. And when you control your response, you control your state of mind, and when your mind is calm and clear, you are able to handle real situations effectively if they ever arise, because you are not overwhelmed by fear, you are guided by logic. And that is the biggest difference between reaction and awareness, because reaction is instant and emotional, while awareness is calm and deliberate. And right now you are fully in that state of awareness, which means this message has served its real purpose, not as a warning about something outside, but as a lesson about how easily fear can be created and how powerfully it can be neutralized with calm thinking. And once you understand that, you carry that clarity with you beyond this moment, into every situation where something tries to rush or scare you without proof, and you respond the same way, by slowing down, observing reality, and making decisions based on facts, not fear. And that is where real safety comes from, not from reacting to dramatic words, but from staying grounded, aware, and in control of your own mind, because in the end, nothing has the power to disturb you unless you allow it to take control of your thoughts, and now you know how to prevent that completely.